Baruch Hashem, welcome to day number 50 of our daily study of Rambam, Sefer HaMitzvos. We are still in the book of times, Sefer Zmanim, which is all about various different holidays, festivals, the different observances through the year that are based on time. We started with Shabbos, then which is the most frequent Jewish holiday, comes every week. Then we did Erevin because that is related to Shabbos. Now we're doing some other holidays, and we're starting specifically in the Mishnah Torah with Hilchos Shvisas Asar, the laws of resting on the 10th. The 10th of what? The 10th of Tishrei. That's the date of Yom Kippur. That's how the Rambam refers to Yom Kippur in this context. So today in Mishnah Torah is Hilchos Shvisas Asar, chapters 1, 2, and 3. Correspondingly, we have 4 mitzvahs today, all dealing with the observance of Yom Kippur. And it breaks down to 2 positive commandments and 2 negative commandments. Or the way we're going to do it, a positive and negative, positive and negative. You'll see what it is. Okay. Positive commandment number 165. The mitzvah to rest on Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is called a day of Shabbos-like rest, and the restrictions against doing labor are identical to those of Shabbos. We'll speak, God willing, later about the rest required on a holiday, which is different, but here it's the same as Shabbos. All right. Negative commandment number 329. Prohibition against doing creative labor on Yom Kippur. Remember, we learned that term malacha when we were going through Shabbos. So, negative commandment 329 is the prohibition against doing a malacha, a creative labor, a productive labor on Yom Kippur. Now, did you notice how these 2 mitzvahs are basically the flip side of the same coin? You have positive commandment 165, which is the positive commandment to rest. And then you have negative commandment 329, which is the negative prohibition against doing malacha. I won't translate the word malacha. So yes, you're correct in assuming that there could be one act which would violate both commandments. It would, if someone did, God forbid, a form of malacha on Yom Kippur, it would both be a failure to perform the positive commandment and a transgression of the negative commandment. Okay, positive commandment 164, the positive commandment to fast on Yom Kippur. Now, it's interesting. It doesn't say specifically in the Torah that we are to fast. What it says is that should be a day of affliction. It says, Tanu es nafshei seichem, you shall afflict your souls. And that means fasting. Although we should mention that according to our rabbis, there are all told 5 forms of self-affliction that one must maintain on Yom Kippur. So we know one of them is fasting. What are the others? Bathing, anointing, that means like smearing oil, wearing leather shoes, and engaging in marital relations. Those are the 5. Okay. And finally, negative commandment 196, the prohibition against eating on Yom Kippur. How do we know that? That also doesn't say explicitly anywhere, don't eat on Yom Kippur. It's kind of interesting how the Rambam says we figure it out. One way that we figure it out is that in the beginning of Krisis, which is a tractate in the Mishnah that speaks about sins that garner the punishment of, God forbid, of kares, of cutting off of the soul. So it lists eating on Yom Kippur as one of those. And interestingly, we know that all all sins that incur the punishment of Kodesh specifically are prohibitions, negative commandments, with two exceptions. One of them we learned about earlier already, the failure to perform a bris milah. The second one, positive commandment, that the failure to perform it incurs Kodesh, we didn't learn yet. We will, God willing. And that is to partake of the Pesach sacrifice offering. So if Yom Kippur is listed amongst the things that, eating on Yom Kippur is listed amongst the things that will incur the penalty of Kodesh, we know that it must be a negative commandment because the two positive commandments, those two exceptions, are already enumerated, and neither of those are eating on Yom Kippur. So that's how we know that eating on Yom Kippur is indeed a transgression, and not just a positive commandment of you shall afflict yourselves that we mentioned previously in the previous mitzvah. Okay, so those are our mitzvahs today, and we will see you, God willing, tomorrow for more holiday-related laws.